Hi there, folks. Welcome back to Rule of Thumb. I'm coming to you live from my living room again. And this is a video response to my friend Heather over at the Kneady Homesteader. She had a subscriber ask her about her favorite canning cookbooks, specifically pressure canning cookbooks. And Heather very adeptly addressed the issue that there is very few, really almost no books specifically dedicated to pressure canning. But there is good resources out there for pressure canning as well as water bath, and she listed books that I have as well. We have a lot of the same repertoire. But I thought I would add a couple other books that are available out there. Some are easier to get, some may be harder to get. I think all of these are pretty much available. And they have some interesting information in them because a couple of them are a little bit older and one of them is newer. So I just thought I would throw some titles out there and a little bit about them for anybody that's looking for some other sources. So the first one I got is this one, which is Stocking Up. I have seen this in a lot of different formats. Paperback, hardcover, they have different covers. This has been printed and reprinted. This one is copyright 1973. Now, what I like about this book is that it has a lot of different information in it. So just to kind of go through the contents, they have a choosing vegetable and fruit varieties, vegetables for vitamins, harvesting the vegetables and fruits, and then they go into different ways of preserving them. So they have freezing vegetables and fruits, canning vegetables and fruits, preserving vegetables and fruits by drying, which is either drying or dehydrating, underground storage, which, God, I wish I had underground storage. I don't, sadly, but it's still fun to read about. Pickles and relishes, jams, jellies, and fruit butters, juicing your harvest, which is something I am not skilled at, but definitely something somewhere down the line that might be interested. And this book also goes into some stuff that are, I guess, skills of the past maybe that people don't do as much anymore, but are useful, especially in an emergency situation. So they have making butter, making cottage cheese, making yogurt, making semi-hard cheese, and storing eggs, old-fashioned methods, or freezing eggs. Then they have a section on meats, preparing beef, veal, lamb, and pork for storage, dressing poultry, freezing meat, canning meat, curing and smoking meats, which is another thing someday, God willing, I will learn how to do. And then the book ends up with nuts, seeds, and grains, and it has a section on nuts, sunflower seeds, grains, and breads. So it's just kind of an overall, the byline on this is how to preserve the foods you grow naturally. I just find this a really fun book. So again, Stocking Up. It's by Rodale Press, Rodale, by the editors of Organic Gardening and Farming. So throwing it out there as an option. The next one, a lot of people have heard of this, some people have not, and that is Putting Food By. And for those of you who've been around for a while, that is a term that a lot of old-time canners still use, is putting food by. And that's what I remember my grandma saying when I was a kid. So this book as well has been printed, reprinted. This is, the first edition was published in 1973. This edition was published in 1982. And again, this is kind of the same setup. There is, the opening to the book is it worth it? Which is interesting based on the conversation a lot of us have been having around canning and its usefulness and or not. So that's kind of an interesting little section there. Why put by foods spoil. So how can they spoil? Like if you aren't putting them away properly, the different canning methods, canning fruits, tomatoes, vegetables, meat, seafood, convenience foods, using a freezer, freezing fruits, vegetables, and meats, seafood, convenience foods. It has jellies, jams, and other sweet things, pickles, relishes, and other spicy things. It has a curing section. It has a drying section. It has a root cellaring section, sprouts and other good things. It does have a little section on cooking with some recipes in it. And one of the things, I don't know if I have it marked in here. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Probably not, because, that'd be too easy. But they have things in here like suggestions on how to stretch ingredients and, kind of old school methods that some of us remember, some of us do not. But there is things to be learned from this book. So if you haven't seen this book, this is another one I, definitely recommend. If I can find any of these books on Amazon, I will certainly put the link below for you folks to check them out. My last one is a new book, and I got to tell you, I'm going to be perfectly honest, I haven't had a time to really explore this one thoroughly, so I'm giving you this one as a recommendation with the caveat that it may be great and it may be just mediocre, but I'm going to say based on the publisher that, speaking of which, Putting Food By is by Ruth Hertzberg, Beatrice Vaughn, and Janet Green, in case anybody needed that. So the last one I got is this one, Better Homes and Gardens Complete Canning Guide. And I equate this to the Ball Complete Guide to Home Canning, which is another book that I own. But I have had pretty good luck throughout my lifetime with Better Homes and Gardens. They have not led me astray, so I'm assuming this book is going to be in that category. It does have it sectioned out much like their books usually are with the tabs. Okay, so it's got basics, butters and spreads, chutneys and conserves, condiments, which condiments is interesting because a lot of people forget about the importance of having condiments, whether you buy them at the store, whether you dehydrate things to reconstitute to make condiments or to sprinkle on as condiments, or whether you're making stuff and canning it. If a situation comes about where you are stretched thin on your budget and you're, making food last, or, in an emergency situation or whatever the case may be, where you are trying to make a lot last for a long time, and you might be stretching it with rice, potatoes, beans, pasta, anything that isn't necessarily that flavorful, your condiments are going to be the lifesavers. So don't forget about condiments. I mean, they are important. Drying for the freezer, fruits, jams, jellies, vegetables, fermented foods and pickles. Fermentation is something too that I just super interested in learning at some point. Mandy at More to Life, I'll try and put her link up here. She is the fermenting queen. Preserves, relishes and toppers, again, condiment. Soup, stews, and stocks. Syrups and compotes. They have a whole section just on tomatoes. So I just, like I said, I am always honest with you guys. It's not a book that I've had a ton of time to really, dig into yet, but it does look interesting, and I thought I'd throw it out there as another option. So that's my video response, my add-on to potential canning books that are worth taking a look at, not just for the canning alone, but the information that you can gain on how to preserve food and make the most out of what you have. So, as always, I hope you folks enjoyed this video. I hope you're having a great day. Come back and see us.